One of our favorite sponsors is back with us, Sunset Lake CBD.
Yeah.
If you're looking for CBD that actually does what CBD is supposed to do, look no further than our friends over at Sunset Lake.
Let me break it down.
Break it down, Mel.
They're sustainably farmed, meaning they avoid pesticides and use sustainable farming practices to preserve the land for future generations. 1. 2, farm to table. They ship the CBD products straight from their door in Vermont directly to your door wherever you're at.
Now that's cool.
And third party tested. They test everything with a third party to ensure quality, dosage, and safety.
You got to go over and check out sunsetlakecbd.com. They have so many products. Break it down for them, Apple.
Well, they've got some new stuff going on. Like they always had pre-rolls, but now they got really cool packaging for it. And you can get CBD pre-roll flights of all their flavors. You can get the heavy hitter flight that also throws in some of their Keef blunts. They have a new CBD recovery body lotion.
I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other?
The other one with arnica.
The extra strength muscle rub, 3,000 milligram with 5% lidocaine.
So look,
Oh, yeah,
if you're
lidocaine.
sore, this is the stuff you want to rub on your body to make those aches and pains go away. They even have CBD infused coffee, so you can have coffee without the little jitter that you get from caffeine, and you have it in the morning and you start your day off right. Your body feels lubricated. You're going to sleep good.
Yeah, and also they have, if you kind of forget to reorder, they've got subscriptions.
And they're giving the No Simple Road family 20% off.
20% off.
Put
with
in the promo code NSR20 when you're checking out at sunsetlakecbd.com. You're going to get 20% off your entire order.
NSR20.
And don't forget those cute little gummy bears.
That's right. sunsetlakecbd.com, one of our favorite sponsors, is back. You're on the way to the venue and you're wondering, where should I park? Or,
Should I bring my coat with me?
Or how well do I have to stash my things I want to bring into the venue?
can I bring this backpack in with me?
Where should I put my vape pen?
Are they going to allow water bottles in here? If you know that stuff or you want to find out about that stuff, you can go to venuelama.com. What's Venue Llama, you may ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. VenueLlama.com is where live music fans share helpful insider venue reviews and information based on their own experiences. A place where pro showgoers can quickly review venues and exchange seriously helpful venue intel with one another.
Yeah.
Head over to VenueLlama.com today and sign up for your free Llama account and start reviewing venues today. Review venues in the Llama base, upload photos in the Llama gallery, and add your favorite scene-friendly businesses, websites, or podcasts to the Friends page. All Llamas registered by July 4th are eligible to win free tickets and Venue Llama gear. We got Summer Tour for Dead and Company and Fish and Widespread Panic and Billy Strings and Goose and Ween and Green Sky Bluegrass. All of it's happening right now.
Oh,
Go to
that's my head blown
venuelama.com
up.
so that you know what the hell's going on when you get to the venue. And if you already know what's going on at those venues, go to venuelama.com and tell everybody else so that we're all in the know and we're all hipped up. Go to
Tell 'em.
venuelama.com.
Shop Tour Bus.
Kicking it old school.
Love that.
Yeah, that is one of our awesome sponsors. And if you don't know about them, you're about to know about them because, like we always say, you don't want to wear that dirty old shirt and everything. Maybe you
Or you do.
I like to wear my old dirty shirts.
Wow, dude.
Wow.
Right on. No, we're going to keep right
Okay,
on
you're just gonna
rolling.
keep
Let's keep
rolling
going.
with that.
Keep going.
He
Yeah.
likes to wear his dirty shop shoes.
I started laughing when I said that because I remembered I do. But if you want new gear, go over there and see these cryptic, cool designs they have that are made from lyrics of Grateful Dead songs.
Oh, yeah.
And they come in a all over print box with all kinds of extras on the inside. And some of you are going to get an actual real live dyed in the wool, verified, bona fide Grateful Dead cassette tape bootleg in your order.
Bootleg.
Yeah,
bootleg.
Not only are you going to get the shirt, sticker, hat, pin, or whatever that you ordered in a rad box, but it could come with a Grateful Dead cassette tape in there that's been traded around the Grateful Dead family for like 5,000 years.
And then a bunch of cool
Dang.
At
trinkets,
least.
toys, candy, gum. You don't know what you're going to get.
You're
It's a-
also
it's a box of fun.
going to get a good feeling of supporting your Grateful Dead family. Not the big corporations that mass produce, but the perfectly soft t-shirt with the Grateful Dead inspired lyric and that gorgeous box coming straight to you for free shipping when you put in the promo code No Simple Road.
So go to shoptourbus.com or at shoptourbus on Instagram to see what the hell we're talking about. And when you check out, remember to put in the promo code No Simple Road, all one word, so you can get your free shipping and you get your new stuff. And it has a Grateful Dead lyric told in picture on it, and then all the stuff in the cassette tape and all the shoptourbus.com.
You're gonna be happy. I'm hungry.
We all know that Apple's hungry, but we also all know that the Grateful Dead family does stuff beautifully. They make beautiful music. We make amazing grilled cheese. We make awesome art. We make veggie burritos that are badass. And you know what else we do?
What?
We have a business in Portland and Denver called Fire on the Mountain, owned by the Grateful Dead family, that has the best chicken wings, pizza, burgers, salads, brew their own beer, and it's made with love and intention by our family for you.
And when you go into any of their locations, you are going to find a beautifully, comfortably decorated space that you can even rent out for birthday parties, meetings, or just to go kick it with your daughter on a random Wednesday evening.
Yeah. I mean, look, everything is so freaking serious nowadays. It's nice to take a break, fall out for a while. Go get some food, somewhere chill, made by your fam. It's delicious. Grab yourself a beer, a nice salad.
And I got one thing to say.
What?
Save room for dessert or you're going to regret it, because they have the best desserts anywhere.
And if you're not in Portland or Denver, don't feel bad. You can go to portlandwings.com, hook yourself up with some dope-ass Fire on the Mountain gear, get yourself some of their sauces because they'll ship them all over the country, and then you won't feel left out. So go to Fire on the Mountain, everybody. It's the Grateful Dead family hooking it up, cooking it up for you. So this time when we start recording, I'm going to say, hey now, No Simple Road family, this is Aaron.
This is Apple.
And this is Mel.
And I'm going to see all of our, what is it? What are those called?
Our wavelengths, our
going,
frequency.
We went like, I don't know, 15 minutes in, and Apple's mic wasn't on.
We were three-quarters of the way through the intro, and then I noticed my wave, because sometimes it's fun to look at them.
Well, you know what? We never even mentioned the fact that it is Apple's birthday eve right now as we're recording this. And when you hear this episode, it will be Apple's birthday. So if everybody can just stop for one moment and say, happy birthday,
Happy birthday, Apple.
Woo,
Let's hear it for Apple, everybody.
Happy birthday. 1 year older, 1 year wiser.
Got excited.
Apple is 54 years old. Brother, did you ever think when we were like, I don't know, 19?
No, I never thought when I was 19.
No, I know that, but there's more to the question.
Oh.
Did you ever think that we would be this old together?
No, we didn't think of things like that.
No, man, right?
When we were 19 and you were 17, we weren't thinking about the next day.
We're thinking about the next line.
Yeah, there was no plans for the next day.
Yeah. So congratulations on making it to 54, man.
Yeah, Apple, I'm sad that you were feeling blue, but I totally get it. You know, I understand, like, just a little melancholy, not even anything to be melancholy about. You have your health now. You know, it's gorgeous outside. No Simple Road's doing great. You've got a lot of people that love you, but sometimes you just have all that and you still feel a little...
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Sometimes you can't control your mood. She's talking about yesterday. I just kind of got that, like, at this age, when
you said it this morning too.
When you're in your when you get to be 50, like it's like, I don't know. A lot of people do that your whole life, but it's like I don't care. I don't need any attention.
You don't like birthday attention?
I'm 50, but everybody does, you know, in a way. It just
come on. You got that cute balloon upstairs. And all that.
Yeah. Yesterday was super cute and sweet, and I was just kind of birthday blues.
Well, happy pre-birthday, brother.
Yeah. Thank you.
And to celebrate the end of your birthday month and your birthday day, we are going to give you the gift of having Marcel Ardans as our guest on No Simple Road this week.
Welcome to
right.
No Simple Road,
and
Marcel.
If you're asking yourself, who is Marcel Ardans? And then I'm going to go, do you know the YouTube channel Lessons with Marcel? And then you're going to go, oh yeah, that. And I'm going to go, that's Marcel Ardans. Right?
When I liked it, it makes sense. This is like a present to me because I was absent on this one. It was 2 days after my surgery. And so I have not heard this. So tomorrow I get a little surprise, or today as I'm listening to this.
You get a little surprise.
I get a little surprised because I missed this one. I'm sorry I missed you, Marcel. Aaron and Melanie speak very highly of you.
Oh, yeah. It was a great interview. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And thank you for, like being so kick-ass, and like adversity was like, later. That's how it feels like the whole conversation. You were just like, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Look, if you're wondering like, why, if I'm not a musician or guitar player, why would I want to go to a YouTube channel that teaches music lessons? It's a lot more than that. This is like a history lesson.
Inspirational.
Yep. It's an online school where you can learn about like the history of bluegrass and some blues. And look, if you're a fan of Billy Strings, Green Sky Bluegrass, Kitchen Dwellers, Leftover Salmon, like all that, if you have a little bit of education, when you go to the show, you're going to be watching it in a completely different way. And that's invaluable. And somebody like Marcel breaks this down, all this stuff down for us in such an approachable, like cool, easy to understand way. And for me, like, and I even said this to him when we had our interview, like for me, learning guitar was a very anxious thing. Like I wanted to be better, and I wanted to be better fast. And I was just anxious about learning, and it was hard. And especially like bluegrass and flat picking, like approaching that was another level of difficulty. And finding Lessons with Marcel on YouTube was like this, like, I was like, holy shit, somebody that's like calm and smart and knows how to teach is teaching flat picking and bluegrass and the history of all of it. And like in this one package, I'm in all the way. And like a lot of quarantine was spent when I should have been working, watching Marcel videos. So
better be careful what you say.
Hey, you know what? It's fine. I don't care anymore. And that's that.
You haven't cared for a long time.
That's true. So you know what? Go over to YouTube and type in Lessons with Marcel, and you will find a cornucopia of informational, instructional, and a really, really cool videos with our guests this week at the helm of this community.
And I hope that this is the first time that we have you and not the last time, because he was planning on a project in the future. Do you remember his science fiction? Mm-hmm. So that is, you'll hear about that in this episode as well.
Yep. And I just want to say thank you, Marcel, for spending time with us. And I know that everybody out there is going to dig this, and we're going to get you to the interview here. We're going to do the business.
Doing the business.
So follow No Simple Road at No Simple Road on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Go to www.nosimpleroad.com. And you can get a tarot reading.
Check out the merch.
You could sign up for a newsletter. You can check out our calendar of events.
You can even sign up for Patreon, where it is popping over there. Our producer, Corey, has revamped, updated, and breathed a little new life into our Patreon. So you can go over there. That's right. He resuscitated it.
Mm-hmm. It was dying.
You can go over there and you can talk to / message other Patreon members. You can go on there, see what we're up to. You can listen to our Side Roads episodes.
There's polls up there, so you can know the answer to these pressing questions: crunchy or hard tacos? Out of me, Mel, Apple, and Darwin, who does most of the listeners want to be for one day?
Jokes of the week.
Yeah.
And the side roads, there's been quite a few of them now. Some listeners, all of us here. Simon Riders is the latest one out. If you want to hear Riders.
What's Side Roads, Apple?
Side Roads is a side project on Patreon where Corey interviews us, the hosts, family members, other listeners, and then beyond that, there's also other interviews done on what's that called? Damn it, blank.
What?
The other interviews, the Grateful Brothers,
I don't know what you're saying, dude.
Huh?
They're all on side roads.
It is all that's side roads too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a little screwy today, man.
Wow, dude, your birthday's messing with you.
I had to have. Well, I'll tell you, I had a heavy conversation with my mom today too.
Oh no. Okay.
Moving on. I'm kind of brain dead. But anyway, all that's on there. I was gonna say, Riders is the latest side road up, and if you want to hear all about self-care, Siegfried and Roy, and him slapping his uncle, who is Aaron, in the back, go check that out because I know it's gonna be entertaining.
I can't even get this out. If you want to hear an in-depth interview with Mel's mom, okay, sign up for Patreon.
I mean, we did. We had Mom on the show on the recent Monday.
That was not Corey doing an in-depth.
No, it was very different. Susie.
Yes.
She wanted me to stay when we got her all set up with Corey on the Zoom call. She was like, "Come here, Flaca, stereo." I was like, "No, this is not.
You're
for
on
me.
your own. Yeah,
you're on your own,
I'm going to
Corey.
listen to this later, and then other stuff may come out.
Okay, and then. That is the whole Patreon thing. So check this out.
Patreon.
We have 971-808-1524.
The tepid line.
The tepid line. That is where you, the No Simple Road family, can call in and do like this right here. Let's see.
Be like Abigail.
Howdy ho, No Simple Road. This is Abigail calling. I was calling to give in a book review for
Dope.
Lost and Found in the 60s by Paul Justison, who you had on the show. I'm a big reader, so I went to my local bookstore, had him ordering the book, picked it up, finished it in about 2 days. Great book for people who aren't readers, an easy read, grabs your attention right away. Super intriguing, makes you laugh, makes you cry, which to me is a sign of any great book. So highly recommend it to you if you're a reader or not. Think if you're ahead and you listen to the show, you'll love this book. Love my NSR family and hope to see you guys sometime down the road.
Love you, Abigail.
Abigail, we hope to see you in Eugene for those cheese shows.
Oh, shit.
Bend, possibly.
And here.
And
Portland. We had another one. Let's go for it. See what happens.
Hi, No Simple family. Aaron, Mel, Apple, and all of the listeners out there. First off, I love you guys. I love the show. I am David. I have called before and
what's up, David?
Compared you guys to the Grateful Dead.
We remember.
Yeah, you don't forget that.
I just wanted to say that I've been listening to the show, and it's I've really been trying to do that favor for you guys and write a review or write something for the show about the show. Mm-hmm. And I'm not one for not finding the right words, but for some reason, I just can't find the words to express exactly how your show makes me feel.
You're doing it right now, brother.
And maybe I shouldn't say your show. I should say our show.
That's right.
That's what it's all about.
And then episodes you've had recently have just been, wow. It makes me want to cry because you're so honest, Aaron, about your past. I don't know. It's just fabulous. And also I wanted to touch base with you and let you know that I have been telling everyone I know about No Simple Road.
Hell yeah.
Somebody today told me that they had listened to a Monday Weekly Rewind because those are the episodes that I really like and I really share with people. And she said she listened to one with Mel talking about her mom and really, really enjoyed it. She really felt exactly what I was telling her about the show, about that connection, the fact that you guys have conversations and not interviews.
Wow.
I don't know what to say. Just I love you guys. Please keep doing the show because
don't worry, we ain't stopping.
It's like family. It's like sitting in on a conversation, even though I can't speak to you guys. I find myself yelling at the radio or laughing at the radio or agreeing, nodding my head vigorously with what's being said. It is family.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure I will call again.
Yes.
Thank you for doing what you guys do.
Thank you for being part of it, man.
It really is phenomenal, and I hope that Aaron is finally over worrying about if people get it. We get it, dude. For real. Love, well wishes, and I hope you guys get some more energy soon.
Yeah.
Wait. Stand by.
Another?
There's more.
Hi, Aaron, Apple, Mel. This is David from the Bay Area calling again.
Love it.
I just wanted to let you guys know that the love that you guys are putting out there is freaking amazing. And I say that because I have been telling everyone that I see or know about No Simple Road. And just within this week, 2 of the people that I have told have listened to the show. And today I actually got goosebumps when the person told me, because they said that they really needed to hear what you were putting down. She had listened to the Mother's Day episode and said that she really, really needed it because she and her daughter, her oldest child, are also going through a tumultuous time and need to work through their shit. So I just want to let you guys know, again, that you are touching lives left and right, and the love and respect. I'm awed, really.
Damn, dude.
And I love you guys. And please keep doing the show because you're touching people, and we love you.
Wow.
David,
damn, dude.
You do know what to say. You said in the, I don't know what to say.
Holy
You
shit.
said a hell of a lot that really rings our bell. Thank you so much for, I think Aaron has stopped worrying and realized that people have gotten it. So you can rest your,
We get it.
rest your soul on that one. And then to your friend that, listened to the show and got anything out of what I was sharing about my, relationship with my mom. Thank you. I mean, it was raw while it was happening. My mom was here for 3 weeks, and so it was kind of hard to talk about something different during that time because it was all encompassing for me, and we didn't really go to too many shows or anything. So I'm glad that your friend and her daughter, maybe even just by listening, has a little bit more understanding for each other, whatever it is. I'm glad to help.
And David, that's the highest praise right there. Like we always say, just telling people when you feel so good about something, you can't wait to tell people you love about it.
Yeah.
Because you'll know that they love it. That's amazing, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah. And I have to say that, like, even when everything's going great, there's times when I doubt what we're doing.
Yes,
and like,
me too.
Even yesterday, Apple and I were upstairs, and I was like, dude, I'm just feeling kind of blue today. Like, we've been doing the show 6 years, and like it's not supporting the 3 of us yet. It's been a long time, and it's just hard. And then I hear something like that, and I'm like, fuck, how dare I?
That's when I realized too that it's not financial support, but it is supporting us and a 100%. Whole community.
Well, I just came back from, Audrey's house with Tiffany, and while we were making signs for Mojo Family Fest, and they were talking about another work day that they were going to have out there. And this is the kind of stuff, David, that is happening behind the scenes that we get to talk about on the air, and how blessed we are. And even though, Aaron, we haven't had enough to pay our mortgage or to support all of us, we made $0 with the show, and now we don't.
Yep.
And that's a big deal. And it's, it's more than just a few shekels. I mean, yeah, we've got a long way to go, but this is the funnest road I've ever been on to do something.
Hell yeah.
And so if we're going to make any, real financial changes due to the show, I am down to go brick by brick because it's worth it.
Yeah. And hearing messages like that is just the universe talking through
Yeah.
David.
That's
So
all the
thanks-
emotional support. In
Thanks
the
for
world,
being available
everything.
for that, David, and we hear you, brother, and thank you.
And thanks for
don't worry,
calling
we ain't
in.
going nowhere anytime soon, man. That is the Tepid line. That's how you do it,
Exactly.
everybody. Let's hear it for David.
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 Woo, David.
I love how the first one he says, I may call back, and then you're the
And then
next
he
one
calls
calling back, dude. Call
Well,
back whenever you want.
yeah.
Can't wait to meet you in person.
Don't be
someday.
scared of calling back the Tepid line. You can be a regular caller of the Tepid
Yeah,
line.
I mean, we named it the John B line for a while because John B was calling.
John
in all the
B,
time.
you still, that's like the AKA Tepid line is AKA John B line.
He's got his own special parking spot right in the Tepid line.
All right. So that's the Tepid line, 971-808-1524. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Go on there, hit the 5 stars, leave us a little review. We don't have any new ones
No
this
new
week.
one yet.
And like David, tell somebody you love about the show. That's the business. And we're going to get you to the interview with Marcel Ardans of Lessons with Marcel YouTube channel right now. Everybody, you made it. Congratulations.
Looks like you made it.
Everybody ready?
Yeah,
Ready.
I'm ready to hear it.
Without further ado, the No Simple Road crew gives you Marcel.
I gotta unmute.
Yeah, you do. It's the dilemma of Zoom every time.
How y'all doing over there?
What's up, man?
Awesome. How you doing?
We're good. You're a little moody over there. Wait, let me close my window.
We're in Portland, that's why. Fun.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go. Shit, look at that.
You and Randy.
What's
You
up,
gotta
man?
match that vibe.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
I'm Aaron.
Nice to meet you, Aaron.
Nice to meet you too,
And
Marcel.
I'm Mel Marcel. So nice to meet you. And I love your studio backdrop room, whatever it is.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is actually, it's a very tiny room that I work in. So it's like all the crap goes on this side and this is all, curated chaos.
Right on, man. Hey, I really, really appreciate you doing this with us, dude. I see how busy you are and how much you work, so I appreciate you giving us some of your time, brother.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm into it.
Yeah, for everybody that's out there, why don't you introduce yourself to them?
Yeah, of course. My name's Marcel. I run the Lessons with Marcel media conglomerate. We do a YouTube channel. We got the website where we sell tabs, and we just started a podcast. But mostly I teach bluegrass guitar. I do a little bit of telly stuff, a little bit of country stuff. But it's really about bringing bluegrass to another generation.
It's really, really amazing what you're doing, dude. I actually got on the train kind of during the pandemic, working from home, and I've been picking for a couple of years now. Like, I've been playing guitar my whole life, but seriously, like, trying to learn how to play bluegrass for a couple of years. And I found you during the pandemic, and what really struck me about what you do immediately was the approachability of it. It was so easy to understand. You weren't like killing it with a whole bunch of jargon. You were making it really easy for me to understand and jump into. And I just appreciate that. First of all, thank you, man, because learning bluegrass is a daunting task.
It is.
So to have somebody
I thought it's supposed to be fun.
you're doing it too. Tell me it's not daunting.
Yeah.
So I just appreciated that, man. And I'm curious, Marcel, like, how did the channel start and what made you want to do that in the first place?
Yeah, man. I always I'll take it way back.
Okay,
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a music teacher. I wanted to teach like middle school
cool.
band. That was my thing. And I thought that would be just such a cool, fun job. And I had a really hard time trying to get into any kind of music school. I couldn't get into like a university, into higher education. And a lot of that had to do with my hearing loss. If you guys didn't know, I wear hearing aids. I've worn them since I was a little kid.
No, I didn't know that.
And yeah, there's kind of a genetic abnormality. It's called otosclerosis, and it runs in all the men in my family. And so some of our like inner ear bones, they freeze up. They sort of have abnormal bone growth. and they don't vibrate as well.
Okay.
And so, I've worn hearing aids since I was 6. It made the audition process really difficult. There were some things they wanted me to do that I couldn't do. I still can't do, or I couldn't do at the time. And so I didn't get in.
Oh.
And then I called my friends and I was like, all right, I got $20. Tell me everything that you learned today in school.
Oh, shit.
And
by proxy.
So, yeah, exactly. I got my music education secondhand from all my buddies that did make it in. And dude, maybe like 6 months later, that same school, the one I was really trying to get into, called me and they were like, hey, we need musicians to be in the pit for this production of Rent. And we're paying you, however many thousands of dollars. It was a good chunk of change. You'll be performing to 1,200 people, Thursday through Sunday. Can you take it? And I realized like, oh, all my friends are paying to go to this school, and this school is paying me to show up.
Heck yeah.
So that's how I made money for a long time, was in musicals. And of course, alongside that, I was just working on Bluegrass all the time. It was the thing that I really cared about. And eventually people started asking me for lessons. And guess what we put on the first poster? It said Lessons with Marcel.
Wow.
And so then, you're going to make a website. What do you call the website?
Okay.
I guess we call it Lessons with Marcel. Yeah. And someone was like, oh, you should make a YouTube video. I made a YouTube video, and like 6 months later, it had 1,000 views. And I was, kind of shocked that someone found something that I made so useful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, maybe I'll put some time into making more of these. And eventually it just kind of took off.
Wow. That's crazy, man. That, first of all, let's go back to the hearing loss thing. Like,
yeah, sure.
You can't even like, well, I guess what one would think like, oh, you have hearing loss, you can't do music, just like the school, like kind of turn you down, like, oh, okay, you can't do this. But then for them to come back and want to pay you, what was that feeling like?
Yeah, that was an insane feeling. The hearing loss, for anyone who's interested, I guess it is a low frequency loss. So a lot of the things that I can't hear, have trouble perceiving, are like the upright bass, for instance. Mm-hmm. And I used to gig on that quite a bit. And it's not an instrument that I can truly hear. I hear like the thunk of the strings, but I don't like hear the pitch.
Okay.
So I'm sure my upright bass playing was always a little bit out of tune, but it was close enough for people to hire me.
So when you're playing upright bass, are you playing by feeling then 100%?
Yeah,
That's
pretty much.
wild.
I mean, it's nice because it's a giant box and you're hugging it. It vibrates against your whole body. So if you are remarkably out of tune, you can feel it. I know that sounds a little cheesy, but it's true. You can just feel that you're out of tune because the vibrations don't match.
The thing that gets me about that, Marcel, is like bluegrass at its core is playing with other people and, picking with each other. And so has it posed really unique challenges for you in picking situations, when you get together with other people?
Yeah, it definitely has. When I was a kid in school, it's something that would happen a lot. The teacher would be talking to us, and then she'd turn to face the board, and
Mm-hmm.
she'd keep talking. Suddenly, I can't see her mouth. I can't lip read, and the sound's going away from me, and I would just lose the vol. Right? If you're not facing me, if you're not communicating with me directly, it's hard to follow. And that same thing happens at jams. Sometimes people face away, or the way the stage is set up, you can't get a clear eye line.
Mm-hmm.
And I do a lot of my jamming, almost visually. If I'm not getting enough feedback from the monitors, or if it's a jam and I can't hear very well in the room, I'm looking at the mandolin player's hands, and I'm seeing where the upbeat is, or I'm looking at the bass player's hands and I'm seeing where the downbeat is. And if I don't have a clear eye line, it's a mess.
Wow. That's such a trip.
So you've like established an entire new way of listening and learning music then, due to what you've had to overcome.
There's other people that have done similar things. And, when I was really young, I saw a percussionist named Evelyn Glennie. And I can't remember. I want to say she's Irish or Scottish or something, but she was doing a tour of the U.S. and my parents took me to see her. And I got to talk to her for a second, and she dealt with a lot of the same struggles. And yeah, she's a professional percussionist, and she can't hear very well either. And lucky for her, she a lot of times gets a conductor, right? She gets someone who's dictating time in front of her.
Okay.
And I do the same thing, right? When I'm looking at people's hands, they're dictating the time for me like a conductor would.
Wow. That's such a trip, man.
That is. So like you learned this as you were younger, right? Because it was something in your family, or like, is this something that you realized when you were older?
Well, my parents didn't realize right away because, my father was told that there's a 50% chance that it gets passed on. And my older brother didn't get it. And when I was younger, they started noticing that like they would call me from another room or something and I wouldn't respond.
Yeah.
And I was always a real independent little kid. And I think that was part of it was, I was nervous about getting into conversations because I didn't know if I could hang, right? If I could like interact and hold on. So it wasn't until I was 6 years old until I got hearing aids. And that's the first time I heard like birds. It's the first time I heard a bunch of stuff.
Shit, dude.
So what was that like?
Oh my God.
A little adorable.
I know we're supposed to talk about bluegrass, but this is great.
We're going to get there. But like a sweet, adorable little 6-year-old, and then you can finally hear birds. How does that impact you? And like, you clearly love sound. So how did that kind of like, I don't know, just getting those hearing aids, how did that, change your world?
That was wild. I realized a lot when I was young. I realized that there were, that I had some like speech trouble, and my mom would sit with me and like say words over and over again. So that way, I would have a closer pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have, any kind of lisp or anything, which is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God that happened. But I think that the strongest memory I have from that time period is my mom. When she found out, my mom cried when she found out I had the hearing loss.
Aww.
And my reaction was I was excited. I was like, oh, I'm going to be like Dad. I'm going to get hearing aids. And I remember it being a very strange moment where I didn't really conceive what was going on.
What?
That is so sweet. It's so sweet. It reminds me of something that happened in our family with like in a completely opposite way, but like kids wanting to be like their parents, whether they're perfect or not. Like they don't understand that. They're just like, I want to be like my mom, my dad, whatever. And so that to me, just what a sweet thought. And kudos to Mom for sitting there and taking the time instead of like pushing it on someone else. Cause I know a lot of parents, like that's very hard and they get scared. You don't know what to do, so you want to leave them to a professional and not realize how important it can be for you to just sit with your baby and like kind of teach. And just one other thing on your voice, like your voice is so soothing and very calming. And it really is part of what helps at least me to understand what you're talking about, like the delivery and the way that it's said, not necessarily the jargon that's coming out.
Have you heard that before?
Right. No, I don't get that comment very often, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. Like, it's so like done with such care. You know what I mean? Like it seems very intentional and it's almost lighthearted, like it's almost a joke, but it's not. And that's the thing that like drew me in. I was like, wow, this guy's laying it down in a way that like I can just sit here and learn. I'm not like, it's not a anxiety thing, because I don't know if you were like this, but learning guitar was a very like anxious thing for me. Was it like that for you?
Really?
Yeah.
No, learning guitar for me was it was like the anti-work. If I had to do anything, I would just play guitar instead. And I started by playing drums. My dad was a drummer too.
Okay.
And so when I was young, I started playing drums. We took from this jazz guy. His name was Mel Zelnick, and he played with a bunch of legends. He played with like Ray Charles. He played with Patti Page. He played with a bunch of famous people. And he was living in the middle of the desert. We'd go hang out with him. And big influence right there. And at the time, my brother had just broken up with his girlfriend, and he decided he was going to play the guitar.
Uh-oh.
And so, yeah, so at our house, there was, now a guitar hanging around. And when my brother would, play his video games or whatever, would be otherwise occupied, I would go grab his guitar and I try to recreate things that I've seen him doing. And of course, we were printing out guitar tabs and stuff like that.
Right.
And yeah, it became kind of an obsession. And I think the turning point was when my brother went to college and he came back for, winter break or whatever. And I think I had excelled as a guitar player sort of past where he was. And he was like, why don't you have the family guitar?
Oh,
Aw.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. How many years difference is it for you and your brother?
Like 5 years.
5
Yeah.
years. So that's a good. You're the youngest?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the two of us.
Yeah.
So has it always been bluegrass, Marcel?
No, it hasn't been at all. I found bluegrass maybe when I was 19 or 20. And I kind of got obsessed with it really quick. I was living with a bunch of rockabilly kids, and everyone had, the pompadour and the leather jacket, or the jean vest, all that stuff, right? And they were real music snobs, which I loved them for. And there was sort of this like constant throwback where it was like, oh, you like, Hound Dog? Well, you should go listen to, Big Mama Thornton sing Hound Dog. Like, oh, you don't even know the version from 20 years earlier, right?
Right.
And yeah, eventually one of them was like, oh, you should dig back into bluegrass, pushed it back that far, like go listen to Bill Monroe. And I completely legally, in no illegal way at all, downloaded a giant pack of bluegrass jam tunes. It was like 100 bluegrass jam standards, right? And I started listening to them, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, because all these songs are about like wanting to go back to the farm, and I grew up on a farm, on a family farm.
Oh,
like,
shit. Okay.
Every single one of these songs isn't about how great it is here right now on the farm. Every one of these songs is like, I wish I could go back. And that really resonated with me. I was like, oh, I want to sing these songs. So I take my playlist and I start, moving over all of my, favorite songs into like another folder. And I remember one of them was like Skaggs and Rice, Bury Me Beneath the Willow, Bluegrass Album Band, Your Love Is Like a Flower, bunch of just classic tunes. And so I start looking up these bands. I'm like, tell me more about these bands. And I realized that every track that I've moved over, almost every track that I moved over, is a band with Tony Rice in it. And so I'm like, all right, who's Tony Rice? And I'm like, oh, he's a guitar player. I'm a guitar player. And then I'm listening to the songs and I'm hearing the guitar solos, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know how to play guitar solos. I guess if I want to sing these songs, I have to learn how to play lead guitar. And that's what happened when I was like 19 years old. That was like the mental conversion.
I love that, man, because there's something to be said for that kind of what's the word I'm looking for, like gumption to not, because for, like I said, for me, I've been playing since I was 12.
Courage,
I'm 51,
too.
right? And just within the last 2 years, I feel like I got serious about playing my guitar. And like I said, it was always like an anxious thing for me. Like I wanted to be better. And so learning was difficult. Right. And when I would see people that could really play, it wasn't inspiring. It was discouraging. Do you get, I was like, fuck, right. I'll never be able to do that. Well, I might as well not even bother. And to have that mindset of like, oh shit, I see that and I want to be able to do that. And I'm going to take the time and do what it takes to be able to get to that level. That's something like brand new for me. So to be able to have that at 19,
it's courageous.
It's courageous. Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah, it was a bold choice. And actually when I was 19, I was like, oh, I'll just learn how to play all the bluegrass instruments. I'm still working on guitar.
See, man, that's why you're successful. Like that right there, that attitude of I'm just going to learn how to do it. It doesn't matter what it takes. And bluegrass is there's such a rich history. There's so much to it. And after one fiddle tune, you haven't even scratched the surface. Like there's There's the history of bluegrass. There's, Irish folk music. There's the whole thing. Like, you can go forever. And that's another thing about your channel that I really love, is that it's not just Lessons with Marcel, like you just showing us how to play fiddle tunes. You actually take us through the history of bluegrass and why it is the way it is. What made you decide to go add that to the channel?
Actually, that was I was doing a little bit of that very early on, and I stopped doing it because the videos that were like how to play Tony Rice Old Train, right? They did better. And so I stopped doing it. And one day, a guy named Mike lives in DC. He helps me with my website sometimes. He does like data entry.
Okay.
Mike was like, you should bring back the old Marcel. Mike was like, you should do more of those like video essay kind of videos that aren't necessarily guitar lessons, but they're that kind of thing. And so thanks, Mike, for that advice, because I probably wouldn't have done that if he hadn't said it.
That's cool, man. And I mean, Marcel, honestly, did you ever think that 50,000 people would be subscribing to your channel, and you would have to turn people down for lessons and like hire other people to work with you and it be where it's at? It's crazy, man.
Yeah, the answer is no, I didn't think that. And you can find early videos too where I'm really excited, where I'm like, oh man, this video got 1,000 views. Thank you all so much for watching. And now that's not a big number anymore, right? But at the time I was just thrilled, right? I thought it was the greatest thing that so many people were interested. So no, I didn't expect that at all. And it shocks me that it's still growing so well and so many people are still interested. I think a fair amount of that is due to, the rise of people like Billy Strings and Molly Tuttle. But,
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that too, because like we're in a bluegrass renaissance kind of at the moment. I would say there's hundreds of new bands coming out, and the rise of Billy Strings and Sierra Hull and others. It's crazy what's going on. I want to get your take on that. Do you think that, let me phrase this the right way. When we've spoken to like Billy or Billy Failing, the traditional bluegrass players, there seems to be kind of two camps in the traditional bluegrass and the newgrass world. And there can be beef between the two.
Oh yeah.
What's your take on all of that? Like, where do you stand?
Yeah, I got kind of caught in the middle of that when I made my video called "Why Do Some People Hate Billy Strings," and maybe that title was a poor choice in retrospect. That got people fired up. But yeah, you're right. And I think that who actually says it really well is the IBMA, the International Bluegrass Music Association. They have this saying that I've heard a lot of their, directors and employees say, that preserving bluegrass is one part of it, but, you can preserve it and still let it evolve, right? They're two separate things. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great mindset, right? Yeah, you keep the history alive, you keep the tradition alive, you tell the stories, you do all that stuff. And hell, there'll be bands out there that still play traditional bluegrass, but as well, the genre dies. Excuse me. The genre
Get it.
I can get it out.
There you go.
The genre dies if you don't let it evolve, right? If you don't keep making new choices, the genre just kaput. And you see that happen with genres that get really academic. When they take genres and they keep labeling them and bottling up, ideas or concepts from the genre, and you put it on the shelf and you put it on the shelf. And that's kind of what happened to jazz music. Not that people aren't innovating in the jazz world or anything, but if you look at the history of jazz, the moment where it slows down, the moment we start teaching it in the schools.
Right. Yeah.
We start bottling it up, right? And so if you bottle up bluegrass and you want to say this is the only real stuff, it has to be exactly like it was in 1945, it's a death sentence.
For sure. And you know what? To me, bluegrass is an now it's my turn. Bluegrass is an amalgamation of so many different things that evolved into what bluegrass is. To pigeonhole bluegrass and put it in a box like that is almost a disservice to the art form itself, in my opinion. I mean, What do I know?
Yeah.
But it's a disservice to the thing, because at its core, it, like you said, it's an art form, right? And any art form needs to continue to evolve. And to say that you're doing it wrong just because you're not doing it like whoever back in the day, I don't know if I agree with that. And what you said, you know, like, let's keep telling the stories. Let's keep the tradition of the thing alive. And I think at its heart, the tradition is evolution through playing together and what comes out when we get together and pick.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And people always say this too, but it's worth repeating that, Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass, he didn't have an end goal in mind. He tried a bunch of different stuff in his band. He tried, like clawhammer banjo. He tried accordion. He tried this and that over and over again. And then eventually, the thing hit and he was like, oh, this is good. And that's the thing that we're trying to bottle up.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and all the great shit is like that. Think about like the Grateful Dead started as a jug band, and then they plugged their shit in and they started playing electric, and they were playing blues, and then they hit on whatever they created became their thing. But this is what we were trying to do. Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it's kind of like a backronym or something. It's like in hindsight, you're being like, oh yeah, this is the thing we're always trying to do. When in reality, you had no idea what you were trying to do. Right.
Well, I think that comes down to feeling. Like, you didn't know you were trying to do that, but when you feel that feeling, there's nothing to me like playing a fiddle tune and having it sync up with somebody else and hearing that music between the two of you start to happen, or five of you or whatever start to happen. There's nothing like that feeling. And even at 70 beats a minute with two people with guitars or whatever, it's exciting when you're learning.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. And for me, that was like the first taste of, oh shit, like this doesn't have to be
anxiety producing.
Yeah, this can be fun. Oh my God. And that is part of what led me to you, was like, oh, this can be fun. It doesn't have to be all academic, and it doesn't have to be something that's so monumental I can't ever do it. This is just, let's just have fun and learn how to do this thing.
And one of the really fun things about playing and listening to bluegrass is seeing people fold new influences in there. There's bluegrass is such a melting pot of a genre that bluegrass can take it, right? You can drop like a rock and roll lick in there, and you can drop a bebop lick in there, and it'll still be bluegrass. You can't do that with some other genres. If you're in your metal band and you try to drop the bebop lick, it's going to stick out.
Right.
It's not going to work. And also on the other side, just to talk about how amazing bluegrass musicians are and the quality of the musicianship, because I think sometimes people forget, they think it's this country bumpkin thing, but they're really great musicians. If you took, your jazz guitarist, your metal guitarist, your rock guitarist, if you took all these different guitarists and you put them in a bluegrass jam, they would struggle. But if you took a bluegrass guitarist and you put them in all the other jams, they would do pretty okay.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's something to be said.
Why? Why do you think that is, Marcel? Like, how can you explain that? For somebody who doesn't play, bluegrass and is just listening to this, because I'm very green. I just started playing the banjo in October, and I'm not an hour a day person at all, but I have like maybe a lesson once or twice a month and pick it up, and I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. But when you really start to deep dive into stuff, you really have to change how you think about things. And you have to kind of like Aaron was saying earlier, educate yourself on like the beginnings of it. So why do you think that is, that people that are trained that way can just, it's so easy for them?
Yeah, it's a great question. Because bluegrass is that melting pot. When you go to learn bluegrass, you have to be able to play some blues. You have to be able to shred a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And bluegrass comes out, only 5 years before rock and roll. So if you listen to some early bluegrass guitar players, like some of the stuff that Don Reno did on guitar, it's just like rockabilly licks. Mm-hmm. like bluegrass guitar hadn't solidified into what it would be. So if if you're studious and you learn all those things, bluegrass, as the umbrella term, it ends up teaching you about a bunch of other little genres. And similarly, jazz tunes have made it into the bluegrass lexicon, right? We play Beaumont Rag, we play Sweet Georgia Brown, we play Lady Be Good, or we play a fair amount of jazz tunes. So yeah, the people who study bluegrass get pretty well rounded, right? Because they have to study all this different stuff. I think some of the other genres that you look at, they come from slightly smaller pools. Bluegrass is an amalgamation of like 5 or 6 different things. It's not that those other genres aren't amalgamations of things. Several ingredients go into rock and roll, just not quite as many, I don't think.
Yeah. And I mean, I've even been practicing and I'm like, damn, if you slow this down, this sounds like classical music. Like,
oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I could see how, like you said, they've taken pieces of all of this different stuff and put it together, and without meaning to, you're learning all of these different skills. So you take yourself and put yourself in another situation like that, and you have that technique or that skill set in your tool bag.
Yeah.
And that's very, if you're somebody that wants to be a professional musician, think about how invaluable that is to be able to go out and just sit down with anybody and be able to play. Look at Billy Strings when he plugs in electric.
Yeah, right. We can do it too.
Fucking amazing.
So, Marcel, what's your template or maybe even advice for somebody who's brand new starting out, kind of like yourself, that, wow, this music, I never even gave it the time of day. Now I'm listening to it. I love it. I want to play it. What's your first thing to be like, all right, you need to do ...
It's a good question.
Well, I have a YouTube channel.
Well, you're not going to teach a lesson, but where do you go? Where do you even start?
Yeah. Well, if you're getting into it, especially if you're a guitar player, let's say that, you should not worry about the equipment right away. I see a lot of new players that are like, oh, I got to get, like a Martin Dreadnought guitar. I got to get, the $50 guitar pick and the $100 capo and all that stuff. Don't worry about any of that. Instead, just start playing the tunes. And if you think about bluegrass as like a living language, for instance, a fiddle tune like Red Haired Boy is from like the 1400s. It's an old piece of music, right? And so that means that we don't have a source recording. The first time it was written down was like 100 years later by some British guy. So there isn't like a direct source for a tune like that, which means when you start learning those tunes, you also have to start improvising with them immediately. Because if you start improvising, if you start playing with the tunes, you become part of the conversation. Because there is no source recording of Red Haired Boy. Right. Any version of Red Haired Boy is valid.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And I've
go ahead. A lot of times these fiddle tunes work in standard ways too. So I guess in short form, my answer is learn some fiddle tunes. But a lot of times they work out in 4 phrases, right? And that 4th phrase tends to be the one that gets improvised the most. For instance, if we took a bunch of bluegrass musicians, we asked them how Red Haired Boy goes, maybe we'd all kind of agree more or less on the first 3 phrases. But phrase 4, you'll get 1,000 different answers if you poll 1,000 bluegrass musicians, right?
Yeah. Wow.
So you got to play that game, right? You got to be part of the conversation.
Well, and I've heard it said too, like exactly what you just said, learn fiddle tunes. Like I've talked to a bunch of people now about it, and I would say that is the standard answer that I'm getting as I'm taking my poll. Like you could do all the stuff, like learn your scales and learn your G runs and all that stuff, but you want to sit down and pick the fiddle tunes. And the other thing that I've heard said is try not to learn them from tab. Try and learn them by ear. And what's the reason?
Yeah, right. So you become part of that oral tradition. I can give you an example if you want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's keep talking about Red Haired Boy because we're on a Red Haired Boy kick for whatever reason.
Okay.
So if you're me and you, we're buddies. You know, it's the turn of the century. We're neighbors, but we live a mile away from each other. And we're sitting on your porch together. And I'm like, hey, let me teach you Red Haired Boy real quick. Right.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to line it out. So I would teach you those 4 phrases in order. So the first phrase that I teach you would be phrase 1, phrase 2. Phrase 3 is the same as phrase 1. Phrase 4 is the one that you get to have fun with.
Okay.
And what happens is we can't write anything down, right? You've just learned this tune by ear. I don't see you again for another 2 months. And what you remember is just the direction of the phrases, where the phrases end. Are they ascending? Are they descending? What kind of notes are in them?
Okay.
So when I come back, instead of playing, you're playing this. You're playing.
Okay.
Right? Instead of phrase 2 being, you're going, right? You're improvising just because you don't remember so well.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the like valid thing here, right? This is what we're talking about. The tunes don't have one interpretation because the way that they're shared is just this, oral tradition of like, oh, it kind of goes like this, it kind of goes like that. And you keep passing it down and down and down. And it's this endless game of telephone. So yeah, when you learn the tune, maybe don't learn it from tab. Maybe figure it out yourself and come up with some variations, because then you're part of the conversation.
That's what you said it perfect. Like telephone, that's exactly what I was thinking while you were saying that, because the message is, she goes to the store, and then it was, by the time you get it, she's at the store. She's been at the store. Like the store is part of the story, but it may be not originally what it was. And that's really cool to be able to translate very loosely something that is so old that we will really never know if it's
right.
Yeah. Right or wrong.
Yeah.
An arbitrary term in this context, right?
Right.
It really doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Yeah.
It's the ultimate long form game of musical telephone.
It is. Yeah, it really is. And also, let's put that into perspective. Red Haired Boy might be the oldest piece of music that you know.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And okay. So if we're
I can think of one older piece of music that you might know.
What's that?
Greensleeves.
Oh yeah. Yep. That was
Greensleeves is slightly older than Red Haired Boy, yeah.
So
I mean, we can just pause on that for a minute, because isn't that how everything is in life? Think about the Bible. That has been changed, and New King James Version and this version and this version. By the time it's gotten to 2023, how accurate do we really think these stories are?
Or fish covering Sneaking Sally through the alley, right? It's the same thing. It's our interpretation of what we've heard, taking that thing and making it our own. And that's the cool thing about bluegrass to me, is that there's such in other styles of music, like take pop music, it's the star, that's the thing, you know what I mean? But bluegrass is such a human thing. It's wood, wire, and people when you break it down to its base elements and connection. And that's fucking dope. You know what I mean? That's one of the coolest things ever. And I think this is just an opinion, but where we are at in the world and time right now, things are wild. Like the world is crazy. I was just watching your video about AI generating fiddle tunes, right?
Yeah.
Like that is even a conversation that we're having is wild all by itself. But in a world where that is a thing, and we're on screens all the time and television, all this stuff, we're so disconnected from each other. Anything that provides us the opportunity to connect with each other on a human level is essential. And I think that might be part of the reason that we're seeing a resurgence of this kind of music right now, is because people are hungry for that touch point.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to, suck all the fun out of that statement.
Please
But
do.
what's also kind of interesting to me about that is that bluegrass is a fake idealism of how it used to was, right? Bluegrass is a Norman Rockwell painting
Yes.
of a guy in a rocking chair and there's a sleeping dog in the corner, right? Bluegrass isn't traditional music. maybe that's controversial. Bluegrass is a modern genre. It was invented in 1945.
Right.
Sure, it's got a bunch of influence from older genres like old time, things from before 1945 and American traditional fiddle tunes and everything. But bluegrass itself, all of the improvising and the super fast beats and the particular lineup of the bands and all that stuff, it's brand new, right? So maybe that actually makes it even more magical that Bill Monroe was able to create something that feels so nostalgic, feels so important, and feels so traditional that people believe it.
Right.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. And
I mean, if you tell a
That's
story
crazy.
long enough, you do believe it. So if you play music the same way, you believe it. You
Yeah.
believe that that's what's being said.
Yeah.
and people are repeating the story now over and over again and adding their pieces to it. So even if it wasn't something when it started, now it's become alive because people have touched it and started adding to it.
So
I have people that comment on my videos and they say, when I mention, the creation date of bluegrass is 1945, people will comment on the videos. They'll say, bluegrass is way older. Bluegrass is older than the hills. People have been playing bluegrass in Appalachia since, they came over to the States.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you're talking about. It's funny to me because bluegrass is named after Bill Monroe and his Bluegrass Boys.
Mm-hmm.
People started calling the genre bluegrass in the mid 50s, right? It's that brand new.
Wow.
Right. But there's people in the comments that believe the myth so hard that they want to tell me that I'm wrong and bluegrass is so old. And it's not.
So what was it before that? Just traditional folk music?
Yeah, we generally call it old time if you're talking about like music from Appalachia.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about the old fiddle tunes and like the flat-footing
Uh-huh.
and all of that stuff, the umbrella is kind of old time. It could be slightly different stuff. It could be like Irish traditional music, or it could be maybe jug band music has a lot of improvised instruments. For instance, like spoons and washboards and stuff. That's more jug band. But you have a lot of like seed genres that existed before that. But bluegrass is named after Bill Monroe's band, baby. Like that's later.
That's.
I want to get your idea on one of the things that Aaron just said about like, communication and like, like we've got these technology and we're starved for interaction, but you're doing something that is alleviating some of that starvation. You're creating a community and a place for people to come to really feel like they know you and teach them something, which really the only barrier is the screen. Otherwise, we would be together in the room. And so what's
True.
your thought on whatever it is, the closeness or the distance or just the change of how humanity is going through right now with like the screens and the phones and all of that?
Yeah, it's wild, and it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of things that I don't like about it, but what it comes back to me, for my business, is that there's a lot of people that don't have access to good bluegrass education. I have a bunch of students in Australia or like in Eastern Europe. I have a student in China. I have students all over, and I'm sure I have viewers there too, right? And they would be so happy if they could get an in-person lesson, or if they could get, or they could go to a bluegrass jam in their area. But a lot of them can't. And, this is kind of the platform that we do that through. So in that sense, I think that it's a benefit because, for instance, when I started learning bluegrass, I was, my family was living in the Northwest at the time. And I had a really hard time sort of finding the local bluegrass scene. And there weren't any guitar players that were there to kind of guide me. So, what did I do? I watched Banjo Ben, I watched whatever was out there to try to learn something. I slowed down recordings and everything. I would have been so stoked if there was Lessons with Marcel when I was learning. And we do that, for instance, with the Bluegrass Coalition. Is this group jam that we do where we We take video submissions from all over the world, and then I edit them together so it's a seamless jam. It's as if we were all playing one after another.
That's so dope.
Yeah. And it kind of gives people that experience. I know it's not the same as jamming in person, but it's neat to see your break, sandwiched in between two others. And you're like, oh, I did the thing. I did a bluegrass jam, and these people are in Germany or something. They've never done it, right?
Yeah. And that, I mean, like we were saying earlier, bluegrass is about playing with other people. And that to me was the biggest barrier to entry, was playing in front of somebody else with them. And now it's your turn, it's your break, go for it. Like, that's terrifying the first couple of times. And I'll be honest, man, I learned what I know from watching your video that was like your first bluegrass jam. This is what you do. Like, now I know.
Yeah.
So that stuff is invaluable for people that don't have the resources around them. We're in the Northwest now too. Where are you at, Marcel?
Well, I'm in North Carolina now, but at the time I was living in Bellingham.
Oh,
Okay.
Washington. Yeah, we're in Portland, Oregon.
Close to us.
I want to ask you about the podcast. Tell me about the podcast a little bit. I didn't know about this.
This is an insane thing.
Okay, cool.
Right on.
I have this friend named Hayes, and Hayes has been helping with a lot of videos, whether he gets mentioned in the video or not. He's just, another buddy of mine that's a creator. He does YouTube and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Hayes Griffin.
So,
And
Shout out, Hayes.
yeah, we were joking about doing a podcast together, and we kind of landed on the name Podcast with Marcel because it keeps the branding consistent.
right?
And so what I did, I pulled this big sort of prank on Hayes, which I do a lot. I did it in the AI video too. I'm always throwing him under the bus, but I hired a voice actor, and I had him read a bunch of voice lines so I could make a soundboard, because the podcast is set in space.
What?
What? Okay.
Yeah. So I made a soundboard with a bunch of sound effects and a bunch of like transition stingers, and sort of this like Toyota-thon, gruff Southern voice is a character on the show, but I just trigger all of his voice lines. And yeah.
That's
What?
rad. And how
It's insane. Yeah.
is this
And
like
so-
your idea, or both your idea, to do this kind of?
He didn't know anything about it. So
Oh
we
my
went to do the first podcast, and I was like, all right, man, just like go with me. And so you can watch him like figure it out live if you listen to the first episode.
Oh no.
What?
Okay, so what's the subject matter of the podcast?
Yeah, right. So the framing device is that there's this we're the intro sets all of this up too, but we're bluegrass astronauts, and we're normally fishing for hydrocarbon in the lakes of Saturn's moon Titan, but there's always time to get some picking in. So the episode starts with us on the street, and I'm like, hey, Hayes, I want to take you to this bar. Just don't embarrass me in front of the bartender. And the bartender, JD, is my voice actor whose lines I trigger.
Okay.
And so we go into the bar, and you get the sci-fi door opening sound effect and everything. Hayes has no idea what's going on. We order our drinks, we sit down, and then it's just like this. Then we talk about bluegrass, we do our thing. We might order more drinks or do whatever, right? But it's sort of a loose framing device. So at the beginning of every episode, we can have this like brief sci-fi experience, and then we sit down at a sci-fi bar and just talk about bluegrass.
I love
That's
that.
super creative, man.
Yeah.
And not that you didn't already have enough to do, right? You had to create something else. Like
Yeah.
that. I know how hard it is to put out content on a regular basis. It's tough, man. And
It's really tough.
and especially if I'm still working a day job, so it's double hard. Like I'm doing everything all the time. And have you struggled with the growth of the channel over time?
Yeah, there's a learning curve to your channel getting so big. Dude, one of the things that really helped me with my workflow, if you're ever in the opportunity, is to work in like 2-week sprints. We're getting corporate over here now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
go for it, man.
yeah, let's do it.
And so I'll teach private lessons for a week, and then the next week I'll use it to make content. So I'll film a video, film a bunch of shorts, or do the podcast, or make assets for whatever. And I just alternate back and forth. And for me, it keeps my life from being less crazy and less monotonous, right? Because every week I'm like in a different mode. I also learned with my YouTube channel that, after a certain point in my growth, I don't remember the number, my channel performs better if I put out a video once every 2 weeks instead of every week. And so, yeah.
What do you think you don't have any idea why that would be? You think it's because people are hungry?
I don't know what it is. I post shorts too, right? So like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's like video on Monday and then, shorts Wednesday, Friday and shorts for Monday, Friday of the next week.
Right.
Then the new video comes out. And so it's almost like you get this big experience of like, oh, a video drop. Where's Marcel been? And then you get like the drip feed of the shorts. And I wonder if it just creates more excitement because the videos aren't so frequent, that people are like, oh, I got to watch this one, right? Marcel posted.
I mean, I think in everything, the element of surprise or waiting, especially now that we don't need to wait for shit. Like before, one season, it took an entire year to get through a season of like Friends because it didn't get dropped all the time. You had to wait. And then now I can finish that in 2 days. Right. And I think that maybe people love that idea that they can do that. But think about indigestion. If you get to eat all of your favorite foods right now, when the hell are you going to have time to digest them, and what quality of digestion is going to happen? And that happens with information too. Like, so I've got I deal with this with trying to learn the banjo. What the fuck else do I learn? There's so many things. Everything's a beginning thing. So now, okay, I'm trying to focus on, learning chords. Now this is the beginner for learning, rolls. Fiddle tunes and rolls. Like it becomes so much it's overwhelming. It's so overwhelming. And I completely get indigestion from learning a new skill or even something that I can be interested in. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know that that's a thing. Like you can kind of devour so much. And then are you really using what you've devoured then? And so I feel as if like what you're doing, you're keeping yourself relevant through these shorts, but you're not giving away everything at once. You're like that once a week show that you still do have to wait for, but you got those cute little things in between. And what an ingenious way to give your audience something that maybe they didn't even know that they needed. A little reprise.
Let's roll back to your comment about learning. Because, I'm a teacher. That interests me. Have you ever heard about how kids learn and how adults learn? Do you know what the difference is there?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So kids are really interested in learning a task and then honing it. So, for instance, if I gave a kid a book full of guitar licks, they will learn the first lick and then just play it over and over and over again. They get really good at that first lick. If I give that lick to an adult, they'll read all of the licks and then they'll get stressed about how they're going to memorize all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
That was this guy.
So that's kind of, yeah, right. That's kind of what you're describing. You get sucked down this rabbit hole and you're like, let me watch all the YouTube videos about banjo. And then you don't actually learn that much. In fact, the kid who just practices one thing over and over again might get better faster.
Yeah.
Right. Just because they're focused.
I have a,
and you don't feel like
object
that.
lesson for that.
Okay.
So I was exactly that guy that you just said. Like
I'm that person
get
that you're
stressed about all that.
Yeah.
Mel got me lessons with Brian Sutton.
Oh yeah.
And I've been playing a while, so I understand the guitar. And like the first thing he had you do was just doing eighth notes on the G string, right, in time with the metronome. And I'm like, come on, like. I could do that.
Yeah, listen, I'm a genius, Brian.
Yeah.
Let me move on.
Yeah, right. I've done this shit.
This is for everybody else who's a beginner.
Right. And so I go to do it and I'm like, holy shit, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life. Like I spent 2 weeks learning how to play this thing right. And I do the video submission back to him and I get the comments back and like I'm doing everything wrong from the beginning. So I'm like, have to start over. And so just taking that one thing and learning how to do it right helped me so much. Instead of trying to just barrel through all the lessons, you know, just taking that one. So that's a perfect example of that. Just like, you know what, you got to, there's videos on rolls. Take one video and get really good at that forward roll that they're teaching you. You know what I mean? And then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's a really like you can put yourself in that mindset again, right? You can remember what it's like to be a little kid, and you're just like, all right, I'm going to do somersaults in the front yard for the next 5 hours.
Well, you don't have all these superfluous extra thoughts in your mind as a kid. You've got like, I don't know how to do this. I want to learn it. And then you do it. Right. As an adult, you're like, I kind of know how to do it. Like, it's fine.
I saw him do it.
Yeah. Like, when really am I going to need to do a somersault again? So I'll just practice it a couple times and I'm moving on to, you know, like whatever else.
Totally.
And definitely like teaching, I think that for me, I've had to unlearn more than I have learned. That's what I've learned. I didn't grow up with music. I didn't grow up around people playing music. So it was completely foreign to me. And then as you get older and your adult mind gets older, you start, I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure other adults out there can, you know, relate to this. But like you get disappointed if you don't know what you're doing almost immediately. And so then it discourages you from going further.
I got something for that. Okay. So think about being a little kid. You wake up in the morning, you can't tie your own shoes. You go to like eat cereal, you can't pour your own milk. You like can't put your own jacket on. Can't even close the car door. You go to school, you fail over and over again. You go home, like you're just bad at everything all day, and you're totally content with that, right?
Yes, you are. You don't even know the difference. You're not.
Guess what? You're like an adult, and you get good at stuff, and you just expect to be good at stuff all the time. You're like, well, I killed it when I tied my shoes this morning. Pour the milk in the cereal, right? Like you just have success after success, right? So when you sit down and you try to practice your instrument, you're not, you know, doing as well as you think you are. That's what's going on, right?
Yes.
You're not used to failing all the time. That's why kids learn so fast, man.
Because failing is not a big deal, or it's not even part of anything. No, they're just it's a part of the process that they're doing. You didn't know how to do
it, and now and it doesn't matter. And I think too that going back to what you said, it's the difference between learning for fun and learning because you have to. Yeah. Those are two very different mindsets to be in. And the learning for fun part, all of it's fun. Not knowing how to do it is fun. Like, when I learned my first G run, like super slow, I was so stoked. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care. Yeah. Holy shit, I just did that. So like learning for fun is, I guess you have to cultivate that mindset.
Well, it's an undoing of your adult brain to some degree. It really is. Like I got the banjo because I got completely inspired at Northwest String Summit by meeting Tom Neckville, who created Neckville Banjos. And we had this incredible conversation, and it just opened up my ears and my musical heart for the rest of the entire time that we were at Northwest String Summit. So I'm not like, oh yeah, I'm going to be part of, you know, like some band and be like, I don't give a shit if I ever perform with anybody. I want to learn how to play that instrument, period. And it's not even about bluegrass or not bluegrass. I don't care about learning certain styles. I want to learn how to play that instrument. And so I have a different thought process behind my learning. And I'm also, because I'm not trying to accomplish something specific, I don't have a time frame, but I still have all of these hangups as an adult with learning. So even though I don't have like, I'm not trying to learn this by the end of the year or this, you know, I'm still dealing with unlearning my adult habits of that failure is somehow a negative thing instead of a stepping stone to where I eventually want to be. I'm still in my head about that. But I mean, every day, like even like this conversation and talking with my teacher and learning my first song, not with a roll, but picking it like one string at a time, like a little kid, like it's the best thing ever. And like playing and singing together. That was a whole thing. Like, so I'm learning. I feel as if I'm like really learning instead of just trying to pick it up.
Yeah, that's great.
Huge difference.
That's it.
Yeah.
Marcel, it was the funniest shit ever, man. Like, we're at Northwest String Summit and we're doing interviews with people, and Tom Neckville and the Oregon Bluegrass Association are there, and he's got this $5,000 like amazing,
well, probably more than $5,000. This was like the tricked out
Saturn inlaid on the
it was like
neck
the
of
Galaxy
banjo.
series.
Like, this thing is fucking amazing. And I see her, like, she puts the banjo on and I see her fall in love, and I'm like, oh no.
Well, Marcel, you have to understand, like, Thomas Neckville came over. First of all, we didn't know who he was. We had no idea who he was. And he was like, hey, what are you guys doing here? And we were like, oh yeah, we're a podcast. We're doing this, that, and the other. He's like, can I be on it? And we're like, what do you mean?
Sure.
Like, well, yes. No, we were like, we already knew that we had people that we had to do. So we're like, who is this guy? Like, what? So then he starts to tell us who he is. And we're like, oh, hell yeah, come back. Well, he comes back and his back is kind of toward us at first.
See, she remembers the moment.
I do remember it because when he turned around with this hot chick, like, that's what it felt like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And he made it. He made it up. He, like, that is his hands created that. And I couldn't think about anything else.
She's like, babe, I want to learn how to play the banjo, and I want a neck fill. And I'm like, that's like, you don't know how to drive and you want a Ferrari.
Well, it's like total 16-year-old moment. Like, I want a Ferrari and I don't even have my permit, you know, like, It's totally like that. But like, after that, like I said, I heard the banjo and everything after that. Like, I was like awakening to some type of sound that I think that I've always loved, because my mom used to listen to country music when I was younger a lot, and I was exposed to a lot of different kinds of music, but my ear wasn't sharp. I didn't understand what I liked, you know, and that conversation with Tom at Summit opened up my ears to hear things that in a different way that I never could have put my finger on before. And so also, everybody's playing with everybody. You've got all these bands intermingling. You've got, you know, people that are not quote unquote musicians or that are getting paid for, but that are just picking up instruments and playing. And I was like, I would love to talk like that. Like, I would love to understand that kind of a language and talk like that. And so that's really where it got me, especially doing this, like talking to you, talking to other musicians that are touring. There's something left out because I'm not a musician, and I'm not saying that it's bad or good. I'm just saying I can't speak to something if I don't understand something. Right. And as the show got further along, like 6 years old now, I wanted to be able to speak more intelligently and more holistically instead of just from a fan's perspective, which that's great too, but I wanted to understand more. And so it felt like the next progression of not only my adult learning, but like for the show and what we were doing for the scene, because really I feel like what we're doing for the scene is highlighting amazing people that are doing some creative, crafty, top of the line things. And that's what I feel like what we're doing is when we're interviewing yourself or Tom Neckville or whoever else, Billy Strings for that matter. Like, yes, we all know that these people are talented, but why? And who are they? And what little things can they teach us? And then they're like trapped in time so that you can go back and listen. And so it was a progression, you know, like I needed to feel like I was doing more as a host, as a fan, and as a musician, you know, and this is why it's like, I feel like I'm fine with the notion of being a lifelong musician and a lifelong beginner. I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm okay with that. But like I said, I'm still wanting to kind of cut through some of that red tape that I've inadvertently put up as an adult in learning.
You know, listening to you talk, it makes me think about just how different all the experiences that we've talked about here are. Because it seems like your interest in music is really, you know, sort of like community oriented. You're like, man, I had this great experience and all the people are so wonderful and I want to have these conversations and like, I want to be part of that.
Right.
Whereas, you you were talking and you were like, man, I just wish I was better.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I just want to be good.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm very motivated just by feeling like an underdog, right? Like I didn't go to school, or I'm not from the South, or whatever it happens to be. I'm like, man, if I do win, like it's that much more of a win because I'm the underdog. That's what I really like,
Well, you're killing it.
Well, look at that's rad that you mentioned that, Marcel, because we're all the common thing here is learning. And everybody has such a different reason and a different way of that coming. So that's why you are so interesting to us personally, because you cover a lot of different learning styles and reasons for people that want to learn. Yep. And like I said in the beginning, like even your voice is part of the learning tool that you have. Like that is a part of it, as well as your knowledge, of course.
And it goes back to what you said too, Marcel, of like kids. And I think kids all have a different reason for wanting to learn too. And this is our just adult version of being kids. Like, I want to be good at that thing. And she's like, I want to play with them too. And you're like, I can beat those guys, like it's
yes. So I bet that's how we all would have been as children.
Right? Absolutely.
Yep, exactly like that. Marcel, tell everybody where they can get a hold of you and in touch and, find you.
Yeah, the best place to find all of my things is on YouTube, Lessons with Marcel. You can also check out my website, lessonswithmarcel.com. The big thing that we're excited about right now is our workshop series.
Oh, cool.
We're doing a workshop every month, and there's only 25 seats. And we're keeping the prices real low. It's only $40 to attend. Wow. And they've been selling out like crazy. So if you want like sort of group instruction, no matter where you live on a bluegrass topic, you can find it every month at lessonswithmarcel.com.
So, how can I ask how you do that with 40 people or 25 people? I'm sorry, you said $40, 25 people. Like, how do you do that? Like physically?
Yeah, we do. We do it through Zoom,
okay.
And people can raise their hands and ask questions. It's very social. I mean, you can get 100 people in a Zoom call. We're not going to have a 100-person workshop. Like that wouldn't be any fun. Right. We found that like 25 is probably max.
So is every workshop a different topic or is it open?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. And my teachers that work for me, when we talk about what the next workshop topic will be or who will teach it, I'm really just looking for things that the teachers are excited about. So that means that, the lesson that you do get, whatever the topic is, it's something that our teachers have maybe just discovered or have finally decided they can really teach, whatever it is, they're really jazzed about. And it's made all the workshops really fun.
Well,
that's awesome because when you're teaching from a place of passion, you're going to pass that passion on to the student and they're already wanting to be there. They pay their $40. They're already excited. So to be able to pass that on, right on, Marcel, what you're doing some really awesome stuff in life and just congratulations on overcoming
thank you so much.
Any small adversities and really like becoming the giant in this situation.
Yeah, man. And I want to say again, you had no idea you were doing it, but it was a lonely slog through quarantine here working from home, man. And you kept me company a lot of days and I really, really fucking appreciate it, brother. It meant a lot. And, I've learned a lot from you. So I just appreciate it, man. And I appreciate you spending time with us today. And also I want to say too, if you want to, if you ever need us to promote anything for you, or you want us to shout anything out on the show, we're here for you, man. Just like send me an email, say the word, and I'll let our listeners know.
I love it. Thank you, man.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for spending time with us today, Marcel.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. We'll see you around soon.
All right, brother. Take care, man. Wow, that's good people right there. The
sweetest smile in the universe.
That's
literally.
That's the thing that drew me in on YouTube was how happy he is. Like it felt like you're hanging out with your friend and you're kind of joking around and now it's time to like, hey man, I learned this thing. Let me show it to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not like,
I know what you mean.
Okay, now we're sitting down to learn bluegrass guitar.
I think going back to the kid thing, when you're little and you're allowed to play with your friends and like somebody goes over to somebody's house and they're like, first, I don't think little kids plan like, okay, at 7:00 we're going to do this. And then at 9:00.
No, mom and dad are planning the time.
Exactly. But when kids really do get to like play by themselves, there generally is like a leader of like, okay, let's do this. We're going to pull out all my Barbies and we're going to do this. Right. And like keeping that youthful, when you're the kid that didn't come up with the plan, you're not mad that you didn't come up with the plan. You're like, okay, we're going to play Spaceman. I want the one with the brown hair and you want the one with the cape or whatever. And like, I guess my message and my thought is keep it kiddish, keep it youthful, keep that youthful spirit at least. I mean, and maybe I'm just saying this to myself too, because the more fun I think something is, the more time I want to spend with it.
Yeah.
And the more pressure I put on myself on things, the more I want to push it away and wait to do it or put it
that's the
done
difference
for later.
Between being a kid and adulting.
Yeah, but when you're a kid, you do what's in front of you. And when you're an adult, you can choose what's in front of you.
Yeah, that's true.
You can choose it, you know? Like I have a lot of things. Like I'm going to go collage right now instead of go play with my banjo. Or I want to pull out my banjo-lele. Or I want to play my flute today. Like it's kind of like what Marcel said. There's so many different pages open in life that you can, you know, now I'm doing this. Now I'm going to write this email. And in order for someone to get good at something, you need to shut your pages down. You need to close your pages down and focus on one page.
Wow. Yeah. It's hard though, as an adult, because
totally hard.
Here's the thing. Life is happening in the midst of all of those pages being open.
Yep.
And
that's why they're open.
And how fucking important is it to you to do or learn or play with that thing? Right.
Yeah. It's very important sometimes, but sometimes things that are important still get overlooked.
Well, and it's ascribing importance to something. So,
well, that's when you get adulting and you schedule,
right?
Or you
like I could fill my day with a million different things. I have to like say no to stuff because something else is important. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
absolutely.
I could easily go through the day and not pick up my guitar, but there's a certain feeling that gives me to be able to. So then that's
saying no to that feeling.
Yeah, and it's like saying no to taking your vitamins for me now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I do know.
This thing makes me feel better. It makes me feel good, even if I'm not great at it. It's still making me feel good. Well,
I mean, I think that there's a part of something that maybe we didn't talk about with Marcel, but that's the way knowing how to play an instrument makes you feel. And when you garner new abilities on your instrument, there's some level of confidence, exhilaration, and excitement that it gives you. And there is nothing like that, because that is for when you learn an instrument. When you learn, say, like a recipe and it comes out bomb, that is also a different type of like.
I was telling Cody this the other day, like with the guitar, I've noticed, and he said the same thing. Like I go through these peaks and valleys with it where I'll learn something new and I'm super excited about it. And I'm, like Marcel said, like getting good at that one thing for a little while, and like it's added into the repertoire. And then you're in this valley for a while of where I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. Let me play the same 4 fucking songs that I know, and then you learn something new and all of a sudden it's brand new again and you're off to the races with loving it.
And if you're constantly, no matter what, giving yourself those, oh man, it's boring. Oh man, this is amazing. Oh man, it's boring. Oh, like I would imagine eventually each of those those voices gets a little bit less loud, and then something else happens. There's another current.
We'll find out. Well, we're not there yet. We'll find out.
I'm not there. I'm assuming this is, nothing.
You and I are on this journey together.
I mean, kind of
a little
bit.
Not a little bit. We are.
Well, you're definitely further along on it, but yeah, like we are on this journey together, and it's scary for me.
Why?
Just because of what we were talking about, like
scary.
Yeah, learning can be scary.
Okay, I don't think I've ever thought of playing guitar as scary. I've thought of it as frustrating or daunting or fun or the coolest thing ever.
I guess it's like the vulnerability that a musician must show another musician in order to share where they're at.
Pants with each other.
Share where you're at. Yeah, maybe that'll be our new thing. Play naked together.
Okay, I'm down. Oh shit.
Well, yeah, because you have to allow the other person in the room to hear your vulnerability, your mistakes, and that's like the truth of who you are. Like once you take your clothes off, everybody sees what you're working with. Same thing with music. Once you show somebody, and I'm talking to beginners right now. I'm not talking to.
Wait. If you have to add the flip side of that in, if you're gonna say that, you have to add the opposite. So yeah, you have to be vulnerable and show your mistakes and your vulnerability in front of each other. But you're also showing what a badass you are and the dope shit that you've learned and how good you are. And
that's true.
All that too. So it's both at the same time. It's complete.
Well, vulnerability is a very complex subject. Like you being vulnerable, like just playing an instrument is different than showing somebody your new song.
Well, okay, what do you mean? I don't understand.
Meaning like if I'm just like showing you, hey, look what I can do on the banjo. But if I say, hey, look at my new song that I wrote, you know what I mean?
Yes,
those are, so it can become very complex.
Well,
and I just always had a problem sharing. That's really what it comes down to. I've always had a problem sharing my emotional side.
Your talents.
My talents.
Well, because you were told that you weren't allowed to when you were little.
Yeah, I was told that I didn't have any.
And that you weren't the one to do that.
Yeah.
Which... Man.
So again, it's no simple road. It's we're the ones talking about it. This is my
that's your trip.
It's my cross to bear, my burden of learning and sharing and showing my progress. I always thought like when I got my banjo, I was like, ooh, I'll like start doing videos. Yeah, fucking right. I mean, I did do a couple.
Yeah.
But like then the anxiety started to come in of like. It did. It started to roll in.
I totally get it.
It
Corey's
started to roll in.
after me to put out guitar videos forever.
Shout out Corey. I'm still not doing it, but I'm listening to you. I hear you, but I'm not doing it. Yeah, like as an adult to share your what's the word? Like the ways that you were broken as a child, and I'm not through it yet. So then it feels...
You're showing it in real time.
Yeah, I'm
Look
showing
at my wound.
Exactly. This is not like something that's happened before years ago and I'm over it and now I've overcome it. No, I'm in the middle of exploring this side of myself and dealing with why I'm even stuck in places.
Hey,
you know?
Does everybody want to watch me stitch up this cut?
Yeah. Yeah. And because we talk about ourselves so much on the show, it's like they don't need to fucking see everything. They don't need to see me with my short skirt on too. That's what it feels like.
Right. I get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
Like I got to keep some pain for myself or some trauma.
Yeah. Wow. That was really, really fun.
Yeah. And it was great.
I encourage all of you. It doesn't even matter if you play an instrument or could care less about learning. Just go over and watch some of his videos, man.
Like let him lull you to a beautiful place in your day because, like I said, his voice really has some kind of tranquil, calming undertone to it that just really draws you in.
Yeah. So, lessonswithmarcel.com and the Lessons with Marcel on YouTube. And yeah, go over. It's a whole universe. You can sign up for lessons and all the stuff that he was telling me about.
And his podcast.
And the podcast, yeah. Podcast with Marcel. I can't wait to listen to it. You know what? We haven't even talked about the elephant in the room.
Which is?
Apple's not here.
That's right, everybody. Apple is not downstairs. He's upstairs in his room recovering from his surgery. And
he's doing great.
He's doing great. And he's in pain, as you would expect, but he is also doing great. His spirits are up. He's moving around. He's doing what needs to be done. And now it's just the literal time that it takes to heal.
To get better.
Kind of like the time it takes to learn.
Yep.
So
well, hopefully thankfully, this is a much shorter process than mastering the guitar.
Well, and also just a thank you to everybody who did send something, and just maybe like you didn't send it physically like with words, but maybe you sent it telepathically. Thank you for sending Apple and the No Simple Road family love, because when one of us is down, it sucks. And although Aaron and I had a great interview with Marcel, there's always something that Apple brings to our conversations as well. And so thanks for just being here with us and for supporting No Simple Road and any formation that we are on.
Yeah, and sending Apple love, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. And we will be back. What day is this?
This is Friday. So we'll be back on Monday
with another episode of the No Simple Road Weekly Rewind, done in collaboration with the Edible Beats out of Denver, Colorado. And you know all this stuff. Go to nosimpleroad.com, get yourself some merch, sign up for a tarot reading, come hang out with us. We're here all the time. We don't leave. We're always
well, because we live at home and our studio's at home, so
yeah,
we'll actually always have a reason to do No Simple Road.
Yeah, if No Simple Road was a house, we're always in it. So.
And thanks for joining us in our house today.
Yeah, we love you guys. We'll see you next week. Until then, smile at a stranger, safety third, hydrate, wash your hands,
and pick up that instrument that you've had in the corner, dusted, all waiting for you to play with it.
Whatever your reason is.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Reason doesn't matter. Just do the thing. We love you guys. See you next week. Peace.
Mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A equal A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.